Hi, I'm JC Vaughn for Scoop and the Fandom Advisory Network. We're at the Trickster exhibit at Comic-Con, and we're going to be talking to Jimmy Palmiotti and Amanda Connor. First up, Jimmy Palmiotti. Jimmy, we just heard on Monday about Painkiller Jane coming back.
Yes.
And this time it's going to be from Marvel's Icon imprint. What can you tell us about the series?
You've said everything. You took away it's Jane, it's at Icon. Well, I can tell you, it's going to be a series of miniseries. So it's going to be, the first one's 4 issues, and it's drawn by Juan Santa Cruz. I gotta say that right, because there's a bunch of people in Spain that get pissed off at me when I mess that up. It's drawn by Juan Santa Cruz, who I last worked with on Twilight Experiment and Resistance, and he's doing a fantastic job. Colored by Paul Mounts, which is a win-win right there. And the backup, the first issue has a 10-page backup by Sam Lofty, who's like an animator, like an animated style. It's beautiful, but Joe and I were deciding where to take the book, like what company we should do it with, and of course Joe being where he is at Marvel, it made sense that Icon would be the place to go, and I agreed. I mean, because in the end, when you do these books, you want to get it out to as many people as you can, and they really have great distribution set up there. So we're happy about that. It's a mature audience's book, as Jane always is. At least in my mind it is. Or as some people say, it's immature, but it's mature. And what's great about the Icon line is I pretty much hand them the book done, and they publish it. So if anybody's pissed off, they can blame me. They don't have to blame Icon or Marvel. But I'm really excited about it because I haven't done it in years. I mean, the last series we did was for Dynamite Comics, and that was great. In this new series, we open the story with somebody's trying to kill a Saudi Arabian princess, and Jane pretty much gets the girl and hides her from a bunch of assassins, and madness comes right after that. It's a lot of fun. It's just something trying to keep the book fun, sexy, and pretty violent.
Over the years, you've done a lot of different series, and you've created a lot of different properties. But you do seem to keep coming back to Jane. Is she one of your favorites?
She is. It's funny because Amanda always says when she reads a Jane book, she feels like she's talking to me in some way. The character, she's a maniac. Like, Jane's suicidal. She's nutty. She's fun. She's sexually, she's all over the map. And I like the idea of the character. The idea that she's a kind of a lost soul, who buries herself in her work so she doesn't have to deal with things, and so I kind of like that, and it's one of the characters that stuck with me. And the last miniseries we found a great audience, a great female audience with, and so I'm hoping we get that with the new books. And yeah, it's look, when sometimes you create something that you can't let it go, and Jane is absolutely one of those characters.
Another announcement you had before San Diego actually started was about Harley Quinn. What can you tell us about that series?
That's going to be a monthly series starting in November, and it's going to be written by Amanda Connor and myself. And we don't have an artist yet. We're looking at people. But it's pretty much DC saying, they came up to us and said, would you guys be interested in writing the character? And we sat there and said, well, we need to read up on the new 52 Harlequin and familiarize ourselves with the setup. And they sent us all the books the next day, And we did our reading, and pretty much we came back and said, all right, here's our take on the character, and it's a little insane. And right away they okayed it, and then Amanda did this beautiful promotion piece, and that sealed the deal for us. Once they had that in their hands, they're like, all right, you guys got the gig. So we're excited about it. We haven't started writing it yet, which is perfect, because everybody and their mother's telling us what to do on it, so that's awesome. I'm going to steal everybody's ideas.
You also had another announcement come out about something you've got coming up that is a little bit different. Why don't you tell us about that?
Yeah, it's a digital adaptation, comic book adaptation of a novel called Wool by Yu Howie, and it's a very popular science fiction novel, and we're doing a 6-part, 20-page adaptation of the novel with Jimmy Broxton, who worked with us on Sex and Violence, and it's got a huge internet following, it's got a huge online following, download following, and it's done for Amazon's new imprint, Jet City Comics. So we're pretty excited. It's funny because I became familiar with the book when we got the gig, but when we got the gig, Justin already read the book, so Justin was like, "This is gonna be great," and we've been working with you on it, and it's going to be something different. It's not, it's a different genre than the superhero stuff, and really enjoying it. So it's going to be interesting to see how it does.
What else do you have coming up or in the pipeline?
Well, I'm extremely proud of the 2 steady books, which are All-Star Western. He's now in modern day, and he's heading west. And the next issue, he discovers what a gun shop is in modern day, and it's a lot of fun. And then we're like, knee deep in Batwing, and Luke Fox is now finally getting away from Batman and doing his own thing, and we're basically establishing the character right now. So
one of the things about Batwing is when you guys came in, the character was still pretty fresh from the origin of the New 52, but it hadn't sort of staked out its territory. It seemed like.
No.
What do you think you guys did? Because obviously there's going to be a particular few issues that have really attracted attention.
Yeah, you know what? I think it just felt too disconnected from the Batman universe, and us making Luke Fox, Lucius's son, automatically connects it into the Batman books. And I think a lot of times when you have spin-off books, if they spin off too far, it loses its audience.
Sure.
And I think that's what happened. And so we tried to spin it back within a couple of issues, and so far so good. But it's a process. Like anything, you do your best, and you hope at the end of the day somebody's reading it and somebody's liking it, and word of mouth sells it, because that's the only thing that sells it. I mean, retailers order what they're going to order, but it's the fans that come in and say, can you order me, I want another one of these, or I want it. So we're very dependent on the fans at this point. And Batwing is one of those things, we're feeling it out, and I think it's been getting better every issue. And we just added Paul Mounts on the color, which I just love Paul, and the book is just looking great. So I'm hoping, and actually we got some pretty cool covers coming up by guest artists. I can't ruin anything, but we got some pretty cool stuff coming up. So those 2 books are my monthly love, So.
We talked recently in a print interview about All-Star Western and your long affinity with Jonah Hex, and
Yes.
and you guys when you add in the original graphic novel, all the issues of the original series, Jonah Hex, and now All-Star Western, you've been doing Jonah Hex for a long time.
Right.
Why is this character one that stays so fresh in your head?
I get Jonah Hex. I get his motivations. I get why he's pissed at the world. He's fun to watch fun to write, because when you're writing him, it's almost like you set up a scene. You go, well, what would Jonah do? That should be a T-shirt, right? What would Jonah do? So we hear his voice now, and we know how he would react. And the fun thing about writing this character is you don't always know right away, because you write the situation and you realize he might not do that. He might actually just drink a bottle of booze and bang a hooker. So we don't know, and that's the fun of the book. They really let us do whatever we want on it. Obviously, if you look at issue 23 and 24 and 25, they obviously letting us do whatever we want because it's madness. And at the end of the day, our job is to try to find an audience, try to find a steady audience. And we've been doing it for, it'll be probably in a couple of issues, maybe 6 or 7, it'll be 100 books we've done. And it still seems fresh to me, still seems exciting to me, and hopefully to the readers. So
and one of the things we touched on in that other interview was you're still getting some reaction from old-time Jonah Hex fans about how you've handled the character.
Oh yeah, I get a lot of the guys come up to me and they're like in their 60s, and they give me the books, and I'm like, oh, you read this? And they go, no, it's from my dad. So so realize that there's generations of Hex readers, and they're actually happy with what we're doing, which is a sort of like getting the blessing from the Pope in a way, because there's so many ways you can screw up characters these days. So we just try to stay loyal to the character and who he is. And even with us doing the crazy stuff we're doing now in the book, it's still very loyal to Jonah. It's still him and his voice. And we're not doing anything new because they've taken him to the future before. We just brought him the present day. The old series took him to the far future. I thought that's okay, but it's been done. Nobody's done it now. And it's pretty good because, we have scenes like Jonah walking down the street and thinking every woman's a hooker because they got mini skirts and everything, based on what
what he grew up with.
When he grew up, why are people talking into little, there's a lot of madness happening in the book. And even he's going to learn how to drive, which is going to be a funny one. So we're just having fun with the book.
Good.
So, yeah.
Well, thanks a lot, Jimmy.
All right, man. Thank you.
And next up, we're going to be talking to Amanda Connor about her projects. Amanda, we heard an announcement this week that you're doing Harley Quinn with Jimmy.
Yes.
What are your thoughts about the character?
Oh, that's a character I've always thought about. Like, I've sort of gone in between, like, I would love to do Harley Quinn, and I don't want to do Harley Quinn. There's too much history and expectations, and I finally just said, yeah, let's do Harley. So I'm excited. But,
and this is another step for you as a writer, too.
Yeah,
You had the experience with Silk Spectre.
Yeah.
And that's turned into something pretty cool with
Yes.
the New York Times #1 bestseller.
Yeah.
How did that feel?
So Jimmy comes up in the morning. I'm not even awake yet. And he wakes me up. He's like, Amanda, check your email. And I'm like, what? Why are you waking me up for an email? And he goes, just check it. And he sent me the link to the New York Times, the whole, #1, whatever you call it. And I thought he had photoshopped it. I thought it was just, but it was for real, and I couldn't believe it. I was pretty, I was shocked.
Did you get a lot of reaction from people?
Yeah. A lot of people saying congratulations, and it's something I never thought was going to happen. I was completely surprised by it.
That's very cool. So obviously you are writing Harley Quinn. What else are you going to be working on? Drawing anything?
I am. Jimmy and I, and Frank Thierry, because it makes sense that Jimmy and Frank Thierry would be doing this, are working on Captain Brooklyn, which is our latest creator-owned thing. And it's, I sort of loosely based Captain Brooklyn on Frank Thierry.
What's the time frame on this?
As fast as I can. And I'm not the fastest person in the world, as most people know.
So okay, anything else? Any other cover assignments or anything else like that on the horizon?
I do have a lot of cover assignments here and there, and I expect to be doing the covers for the Harley Quinn book.
We saw the promotional piece you did for it, and it's pretty cool.
Thank
that looks
you.
like a really good take on the new 52 version of the character. Is that something you enjoyed?
It is. It is. I'm torn because I really like the old 52 Harley. But the new 52 Harley has got a lot going for it also. So I was trying to sort of mesh the two of those together and see if I could strike a really good balance.
Cool. Thanks so much.
Sure. No problem.
This is JC Vaughn live at Comic-Con 2013 for Scoop and the Fandom Advisory Network.